Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here to watch this video. I do not take it for granted at all. My name is Asantua, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you some tips on getting that book that is inside of you out there. One thing that I really treasure about myself is that I like to give value, and whether it's in to teach you something new or to share my experiences with you, to give you something tangible, I always really like to give, and last year was an amazing year for me as a writer and an author, finally. I've been writing for about 8 years now, and last year I published my first book in July 2024. Oh, finally, I got that book out, and I was really excited. And by the end of last year, I had published 4 books, and it was incredible, And often I get that question, how? Because it takes a while to even get one book out. It took, for my first book, I started writing it in 2020 and I published it in 2024. So people started to ask, how did that happen? And I thought to share that with you because I know how it feels like when you have something inside of you and you're waiting to birth it and you just don't know how to go about it. These are my books, right? And I'm really, really excited to be sharing this with you. Let me just go straight to the most important thing I want to share with you, and that is learn to self-publish. My first book is called My Old Friend with No Name. This was published via the traditional publishing route, and I was really excited for it, because to me, that was the only route. I didn't know about self-publishing. And it's not that I regret, doing the traditional route with this, because I published with TBN, and TBN is a big deal. And I was so happy when my manuscript passed their review and they accepted to publish my book, and I don't regret it at all. But one thing about traditional publishing is it can be very costly, and as a student right now, it was I didn't think that, it was possible to publish more than one book, if that is how it was going to be, because it took me a while to even pay it off. I paid about 30% or 40% at the beginning, and I paid the rest of it in installments. So it was that high, right, for me as a student, right? But I was really excited about getting this book out, and I thought it was an amazing investment, and I did it excitedly. But once again, how was I going to publish other books if this is how costly it is? One thing that I learned from Robert T. Kiyosaki in his book Rich Dad Poor Dad was, instead of saying that I can't afford something, rather ask yourself, how can I afford it? Because according to Robert, when you say that I can't afford it, you resign to your fate. You just say, I can't afford it. You don't give yourself the chance to imagine or to think or to, brainstorm on ways to fix the situation or how to get things done. But when you ask yourself, how can I afford it? You put your brain to work. And you start to wonder, you start to imagine, and you finally come up with a way, because you're searching deeply, you're searching your mind, you're asking the right questions. So when I published this book, I started to ask myself, wait, how am I going to publish more books? Given that I know that I don't have the funds to sponsor, other books just like I did for this one. And that is when I started to really read, more on the topic, ask questions, and I came across self-publishing. Believe you me, I didn't know it existed. I didn't know that people could self-publish, I didn't know, surprisingly. And finally, I read more about it, and I realized that you can publish your book for as little as $0. You can get that book out, and you don't have to pay a dime. So self-publishing is, for me, it is one way to really get started. If you're a new publisher, if you're an aspiring author, you want to get that book out, Kindle Direct Publishing has made it possible. Ingram Spark has made it possible. So don't just restrain yourself. Don't resign to one book that's all I can afford. Next year we'll think of, no, as much as you can do, as much as you can pour into those pages, do so, and then bring it out, right? And when you're going to self-publish, and as much as it is not costly, in terms of finance, it can be a bit involving. It can be a bit involving in terms of what the things you need to learn, right? So I had to learn how to buy my own ISBN for every single book that I published. I purchased my own ISBN because I want to have more control over the book. I want the book to be published elsewhere and then all of that. So I had to learn how to do that. I do that through Boca, and I had to learn how to design my own covers through Canva, and you can do it for free. I had to learn how to combine colors. Sometimes I go out there and I look for an inspiration, from other published books, because people have been doing it for a long time and they're not stopping me from learning from them. So why not? So I go out there, look for inspiration. I go on Amazon. I search for books in the category that I want to write in, and then I look at the covers. I look at the description, how they went about things. Sometimes you can read a sample and see the page design, and that inspires me. And I come back and I try to add my own touch to it, and I create my own thing, something that reflects me. One thing that I realized in the traditional publishing route is that sometimes, especially with a cover, it doesn't feel the way you wished it would feel. Every single person who wants to publish a book already has an idea of how they want their book to look. You've imagined it like 1,000 times, right? But describing that for maybe a graphic designer to recreate, just create that thing, it can be quite difficult, But when I was creating my own thing in Canva, I realized that I could do it the way I wanted it to. I could use the font I want, how feminine I wanted it to look. So these two books have the same content. It's called The Word by a God Girl for a God Girl, a devotional for women. This is the hardcover, this is the paperback. I have it in ebook format, and then also the audiobook will be out this month in January 2025. I thought of how I wanted it to look, how I wanted it to feel. It's a devotional for women, how feminine and soft I wanted it to feel. The page design, I thought of how I would do it myself, how I want the title page to look like, how I want the, if you're buying it as a gift, how I want it to look like, the kind of content that I wanted to put in there, the flowery design, so it's my book and that's how I want it to be, right? And when you're doing it yourself, you have that opportunity to just make it your own. And that's one advantage of self-publishing. But you probably have a lot to learn, because sometimes when you start, it can be, sometimes I just look at the blank canvas in Canva and I don't even know where to start. But that's when sometimes you need an inspiration, So it may be a lot to learn, but to me, it will pay off to learn how to do it yourself. And if you feel that you're not going to have time to do it, you can always outsource it. There's so many websites out there that will create a beautiful cover for you for as little as $10. So don't restrain yourself. Don't restrain yourself is all I'm trying to say. If you have that book inside of you, let it come out, because the world needs to hear it. The second thing that I want to tell you is that people buy books because they're looking for value. They're looking for an answer to their problem. Probably clicked on this video because you saw the title and realized that, oh, probably I'll gain something from the content. I'll glean something finally, So people are always looking for answers. When you're looking for content, because it can be a bit intimidating when you write one book and you're like, oh, what will be the next thing I'll write? It took me 3 years to write one book. How will I write another one within this short time? Think of solving people's problems. Think of, and it helps when you are an expert in something and you want to teach it. Once again, I'll reference Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, because getting to the end, he gives an advice and he says that teach and you shall receive. Teach and you shall receive. It's his own way of saying give and it shall be given to you, because whatever it is that you want, first give it out. So when you are teaching people things, whether it's writing it in a book or standing before a crowd and giving a lecture or doing content just like this, you're giving value. And whatever it is that you're giving to people will come back to you. You will find people that are really interested in the kind of answers that you're providing. I write a lot of faith-based books because the book I have read most in my life and the thing that I believe that I understand most is the scriptures. I read the scriptures every single day, meditate on them every single day. And so I always have content when it has to do with my faith. I'm always learning. I'm always reading something. Read the Bible countless times. So I always have that content. I'm thinking about it. So I always have something to write, is what I'm trying to say. So think about one thing or some things that you believe that you're really good at, and see how you can help others with it. See how you can teach others. I remember I recorded this video once about how to study, how to be an A+ student or something like that. And I did that right after I graduated as valedictorian. And people will listen. Why? Because you have shown them that you're not just talking. You actually know what you're talking about. Do you understand? So that's an advice that I'll give you. Unless maybe you want to write a book, maybe fiction, a novel, even that, people are gonna read it because they're looking for entertainment. So people are always looking for something. So give them something that you believe that they're looking for. I follow this channel. I think his name is Sean Dolwet or something like that, and he does a lot of KDP videos. And one advice that he gives all the time is always go out there and look at books that people are actually buying. Because you may think that, oh, let me write this because this is what I'm interested in. And then you write it and nobody buys it. Nobody's interested in it because they don't see that it's given the value that they're looking for. But when you go on Amazon and then you search for books and you see that these books are really doing well, it's because it's given value. And you can think about it and see, is this something that I can write? The last book that I published before the year ended was this book, Daughter of the King, Pray. And it's a 52-week guided prayer journal and affirmations for women. And I was once on Amazon and, I came across something very similar to this, and I realized that, no, this is something that people actually need. Something that's guided to record your thoughts, to record your prayers, to record your worries and all of that. And once again, I do faith-based things, so this was the perfect thing for me. And I took that inspiration and I designed the book and I did it my own way. I added affirmations because the one I saw did not have affirmations, but I realized, no, why not just add affirmations to it? So that every week you have something that you are meditating on. So there are affirmations and different things that you can write every single day of the week, of the month, and of the year. You can just record it in here and you can always read through it and see your growth over time. So you see, people are always looking for something. Just think about it and give them that thing. One last thing that I'm going to share with you when it comes to, publishing more books than you may be used to is actually make time for it. Make time for it. Writing a book can take time. I'm a PhD student and sometimes I get so busy. It's incredible. When I come back, the last thing I want to do is to look at a book or think. I just want to rest. I come back from the lab and all I want to do is to eat something and then just rest. So what I realized was, why not start my day with this thing? Because I have to make time for it. I want to write. And to be honest, that's how I wrote so much last year and I got so much content, So what I do is that I wake up much earlier than I used to. So I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I try to shower so that I wash the sleep off. I pray because I love Jesus. So I spend about an hour praying and then I study the scriptures. right after studying the scriptures, I write because it's fresh. I've gone to learn, I've gleaned something, and I just write it. And I found that I was just writing so much every single day. And the first 2 hours or 2.5 hours of the day, I've done everything that I consider so important. I've done my devotional, I've written, I've prayed, I've started my day so well. By 8 a.m., I'm ready to go to the lab. When I come back, I don't need to do that. You see, you have to make time for it. When you really love something, when you like it, you commit to it and you make time for it. So make time for the books. Make time to write them. Make time to do your own research. Make time to write quality content. Because if you put a book out there, 1, 2, and people realize that the content is poor, now they're not going to support you. Because once again, remember, people are looking for value. So that is what I wanted to share with you today concerning publishing and getting much of your books out there. I will definitely do record a video on exactly how I use, platforms like KDP to, upload my books, how I create covers in Canva, and then all of that to give you an idea about how to do all of these things. So let me know in the comments down below how this has benefited you, or if there's more you want to see, or if there's any question that you want to ask me, just go ahead and put that in the comment and I'll be so happy to get back to you on that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and family. Until next time, God bless you, and I'll see you.